Hi everyone, welcome back to CA Foundation Principles and Practice of Accounting discussion, and we are discussing RTP in this series of video. We had done discussion of final accounts in the last video. So in this video we'll start with partnership accounts. So that was what was left in our November 2020 RTP. So let's get started with this particular question of our partnership. Yes, the question number 13, that is basically where we should start with. Basically deals with calculation of goodwill. As we've previously learned it in the class, or as you might have read and wherever you've been learning from, the goodwill computation can be done under multiple methods because computation of goodwill is an accounting policy. So we can compute goodwill under average profit method, and weights will be applied, meaning weighted average will be considered when the profits are following the trend. Then we can follow super profit method, capitalization method, or annuity method. Done. So that's with that's the basic understanding. Let's see what do they want us to do in this particular question. So J and K are partners in a firm. Very good. Their capitals are 3 lakh and 2 lakh. Okay. During the year ended 31st of March 2019, the firm earned a profit of 1,50,000. So this is something that we should be considering. This would be of some significance. Okay. Done. Assuming that the normal rate of return is 20%. So this is also of little significance here again. 20%. Okay, calculate the value of the goodwill of the firm. Okay, fine, let's do that. So there are two methods that they're asking us: capitalization method and super profit method. Okay, so let's get into business. Question number 13. So we're discussing question number 13 here. Computation of goodwill. So that is our question all about. So what do they want? They firstly want us to do under capitalization method. So I'll also call it as 1I. Okay, that's how they have written capitalization method. Yeah, so let's finish capitalization method and then let's go to our other method. Other method is super profit method. Okay, now under capitalization method, how do we compute goodwill? So we compare the capitals. How much is the capital that I've invested in comparison with how much does people usually invest as capital? If I've invested any less capital to earn the same amount of profit, that shortage in the capital that I've invested is compensated by way of goodwill. That's the concept. Example: if there is a friend of mine who has earned 10,000 profit, and if I have earned 10,000 profit from a business, and friend of mine has invested 1 lakh as capital, whereas I have invested 80,000 as capital, meaning I have basically taken out the same amount of profit what my friend has taken out. That is 10,000 profit what my friend has done, even I have done. But in order to get that 10,000 profit, my friend has invested 1 lakh rupees, whereas I have got the same profit with an investment of 80,000. So that 20,000 what I didn't invest as capital in cash is something that I've invested in the form of goodwill. You get that? So that decreased capital, or that capital which I have not invested, but I'm still earning the profit in comparison with any other peers. That's the goodwill under capitalization method. So I'll repeat. How do we arrive at goodwill? Goodwill is computed under this method like this. It's computed as, what to say, capital that I've invested, yeah, and capital that I should have invested, comparison. You get that? So normal capital minus actual capital. So that's how it will be computed. So we do goodwill is equal to what? Normal capital minus actual capital employed. Now how do we find normal capital employed? That's an interesting question, so I'll write it here. Normal capital. How do you find normal capital? Normal capital is found by dividing the profit by the normal rate of return. meaning whatever the profit that we get, okay, profit, or I can call it, what do you say, future maintainable profit. So profit that we're going to earn in the future, if I divide this with the normal rate of return. Now you might be wondering, what is this? See, the normal rate of return is 6%. Assume that the normal rate of return is 6%. And profit that I want is 100. Meaning, how much is the capital that I should invest? You get that? 100 rupees is the profit that I want at 6%. So how much is the capital that I should invest to get that? So if I don't do the business and if I keep that money in the bank, if I keep that money in the bank, how much return will I invest? How much return will I get? 6%. So if I get the same amount of return with lesser amount invested in the business, that difference is my goodwill. So normal capital is found as future maintainable profit divided by normal rate of return. The next is how do we compute actual capital employed? Okay, actual capital employed. Actual capital employed is usually determined by taking the value of the assets in total and subtracting the liabilities. So I'll write it as assets minus liabilities. Okay guys, I hope you understood it here. So I'll repeat the formulas that I just mentioned. Formula number one is goodwill under capitalization method. How do we find it? We find it by taking normal capital minus actual capital employed. Now the question is, what do we mean by normal capital? Normal capital is future maintainable profit divided by normal rate of return, or we can take average profit also. Adjusted average profit is the other name. Then how do we find, or do you say, our actual capital employed? Actual capital employed is determined as assets minus outside liabilities. That will give us the actual capital employed. So this is how it is. Now this information would be available to us in the question. Let's see the question. They've told us, isn't it? The capital is 3 lakh and 2 lakh. The actual capital employed is 5 lakh straight. So I will take actual capital employed is equal to, how much is it? J, that is 3 lakh. J's share of 3 lakh plus K's share. How much is K's share? K has contributed capital of 2 lakh. Correct? So those two I am supposed to add. So what do you guys think is actual capital employed? It is 5 lakh. I hope that isn't difficult. Now what happens is we are going to compute goodwill. So when I'm going to compute my goodwill, I should do normal capital minus actual capital. My actual capital employed is determined already. I would come here, 5 lakh. Now all I need to find is my normal capital and then I have my goodwill. How do we find normal capital? Normal capital is determined as future maintainable profit divided by normal rate of return. That information is also given to us. They told that the profit earned is 1 lakh 50. Unless and until they tell anything extravagant in the question, we'll assume that in the future also we are going to earn the same profit of 1 lakh 50,000. So I'll take my future profit as 1 lakh 50,000 divided by what is the normal rate of return. That will also be given to us in the question. In this question, they've clearly mentioned it is 20%. So I'll write 20%. That's it. So if I basically use a calculator, I'll get the answer. I can do it here. Come on, let me do it here. Is equal to 1,50,000 divided by, I'll write it as 0.2. Yes. Yeah, that would give 7,50,000. What 7,50,000? 7,50,000 is our normal capital. Yeah. Now I know my normal capital also. How much is normal capital? 7,50,000. So 7,50,000 is normal capital. 5 lakh is actual capital employed. So if I subtract them, I would get goodwill. Okay. Tell me guys, how much is goodwill? Goodwill will be 7 lakh 50 minus 5 lakh. 2 lakh 50,000 is the value of the goodwill. Under which method? Capitalization method. Next, the question doesn't end here. The question goes on. They've asked us to compute goodwill under super profit method. Look at the question. So they've asked us to find it under super profit method. So I'll do this. Don't worry. Okay. How do we find goodwill under super profit method is the question now. Okay. Goodwill goodwill under super profit method is basically found as super profit multiplied by number of years purchase. Now, the next question is what exactly is super profits? Be wondering, I'll come back. Super profit multiplied by number of purchase. So this is the formula. Then there are two questions. One, what is super profit? Now, when do you call a person as Superman? Now, I as a human being, if you ask me to jump, I can jump to the extent of 3 feet or maximum. If I'm little too fit, notice if I'm little too fit and very agile, I can jump to the extent of 4 feet. But just imagine if someone can jump up to a distance of 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, what do you call him? He's not a man, he's a superman. So we'd have to do better than other people. So when you do better than other people, you're called super. So me and my friend both started with capital of 1 lakh. Me and my friend both started with capital of 1 lakh. My friend earned a profit of 10,000. I earned a profit of 12,000. Now I am super. I am doing better. Why? I earned 2,000 extra profit. Now, when do you call someone super? When they do better than their peers. Me and my friend both started with capital of 1 lakh. My capital is 1 lakh and my friend's capital is 1 lakh. When we both started, my friend made profit of 10,000 and I made profit of 12,000. With the same capital, both of us didn't earn the same profits. I earned 2,000 extra profit. So I'm doing better. That doing better is called super. So that super profit that I earned is 2,000. Super profit that I earned is 2,000. How did I arrive at 2,000? 12,000 is my profit. My friend's profit is 10,000. 12 minus 10, 2,000. You get that? So 12 minus 10 is super profit. So how do we arrive at super profit? Super profit is equal to actual capital, actual profit. Or instead of actual profit, you can basically call it FMP, future maintainable profit. Or you can call it adjusted average profit. These are other names. These are other names. It is actual profit or FMP or adjusted average profit. These are the names. Okay. Yeah. From this, we basically subtract. What do we subtract? Normal profit. Normally, how much our profit others will earn. Okay. The question doesn't end here. The next question is, what exactly is normal profit? I told you normal profit. What exactly is normal profit? Normal profit is how much will people usually earn. I told friend no. So it's usually not just your friend, it's anyone in general. So when you say anyone in general, instead of doing business, if they invest their money in the bank, how much would they earn? So capital employed. You actually take average capital employed, meaning opening plus closing divided by 2. But if there is no information given, what would we do? We only take the opening capital. Average capital employed multiplied by normal rate of return. So I've invested 1 lakh rupees in my business. I told you, didn't I? Assume that the bank is giving us 10% return or industry is getting 10% return. So that 10,000 what I told my friend earned, it is not just my friend, it's people in general earn 10% return. 1 lakh made 10%. 1 lakh into 10%, 10,000. But I have earned 12,000. So the 2,000 extra what I earned is what? My super profit. So you understood that first you will identify normal profit, and after writing normal profit and deducting actual profit, you will arrive at super profit. So things are fine till super profit. Now the question is, what is this number of years purchase? Why do we multiply by number of years purchase? We do this multiplied by number of years purchase when we do average profit method as well as when we do super profit method. Have you ever wondered why do we multiply by number of years purchase when we compute goodwill? Here is the answer. The definition of goodwill, when I ask students, usually they end up telling that goodwill is intangible asset, super profit earning capacity, it is the what to say the name and fame of the organization and all those things. But something that we need to catch from the phrase goodwill is it is the probability that the existing customer will stick to same business. I'll repeat, it is the probability that the existing customer will stick to same business. Now, what is this probability that the customer sticks to same business and how is it related to number of years purchase and goodwill competition? Let me explain. You are running a business and you have 10 customers today. What is the probability that all the 10 customers will come back to you tomorrow and after 3 months and after 6 months and after a year? If they do come back, that's your goodwill. Am I right? That's how we use it in the practical world. Now, if they come back to you every day, they would do business with you, they would purchase goods from you, they would purchase your goods, they would purchase your services. So, when they do that, you generate revenue, you generate profit. So, you're going to earn the profits in the future because of the kind of service that you give to your clients today. Because there is a very good probability that they would stick to you. So, that profit that you're going to earn in the future years because of your service now is goodwill. You guys get that? So number of years purchase means what is the period for which your customers will stick to you and then buy goods from you or buy services from you. So that's the reason we multiply by number of years purchase. Now, in our example, I started business with 1 lakh and everyone on the planet also started business with 1 lakh. If anyone else on the planet started business with 1 lakh, they would earn 10,000. But I earned 12,000. So I earned 2,000 extra. How long am I going to earn that 2,000 extra? If it is 3 years, I am going to earn that 2,000 extra for 3 years. So my goodwill is 6,000. 2 years, sorry, 2,000 for 3 years. 2 into 3. You guys get it? So that's how it's computed. Okay, come on, let's see what's the data in this question. So in this question, the capital is 5 lakh. So I'll go to average capital employed. They've not given closing and opening. If they would have given, would have done it that way. Okay. 5 lakh. How is it 5 lakh? Would I have to write again 3 lakh plus 2 lakh? I hope it's not necessary. So how much is the normal rate of return? 20%. What am I trying to find? Normal profit. Okay, now tell me how much is normal profit? Normal profit is, okay, let me copy paste that. Yes, okay. How much is our normal profit? 1 lakh. So I would write our normal profit here. Okay. Next thing that I would have to find is how much is the actual profit that they've given in the question. The profit earned by the firm was 1,50,000. So I would write here 1,50,000. Okay. So how much is our super profit? Our actual profit earned is 1,50,000, but any other person on the planet would have earned 50,000. So how much is it? I would have to do is equal to this. That would become 50,000. So our super profit is 50,000. So how would we find goodwill now finally? Okay, goodwill is found as super profit, that is 50,000 multiplied by number of years purchase. Number of years purchase is given to us in the question on page. So how many? 2 years. Concentrate here. They've told here 2 years purchase. Okay, I'll multiply it by 2. Yes, so what's the answer, guys? Here we are at the answer. 1 lakh is the amount of goodwill. Under which method? Under super profit method. Okay, guys, this is the answer. You guys can take a screenshot if you want. The formulas, I'll just highlight it with a box border so that you people can remember it. So how do we find goodwill under super profit method? Goodwill under super profit method is found as super profit multiplied by number of years purchase. How do we get super profit? Super profit is actual profit or adjusted average profit or future maintainable profit minus normal profit. How do we get normal profit? Normal profit is found as average capital employed multiplied by normal rate of return. So by this we successfully complete which question? So this is the first part, capitalization method, if you want to take a screenshot. Yes, by this we successfully complete question number 13. Now let us go to question number 14, which talks about retirement of a partner. Okay. On 31st of March 2020, the balance sheet of P, Q and R sharing profits and losses in the proportion of capitals. Okay, they're sharing profits and loss in the ratio of capitals. It stood as follows. Okay, how does it stand? So 2 is to 3 is to 2 is the profit sharing ratio. Have a look. They've told that profits and loss in the proportion of the capital. So the PSR, profit, I'll make a note here, profit sharing ratio. How much is profit sharing ratio? P is to Q is to R is equal to 2 is to 3 is to 2. How did I write it? Looking at this. Yeah, so 2 is to 3 is to 2. So that's a very important observation. That's not mentioned to us by numbers, but it is mentioned to us with the way of English. So we have to convert this into numbers. Okay, let's go ahead. So then let's see who's retiring. P is retiring, guys. It's P who's retiring. P, Mr. P wants to P. Yeah, Mr. P is retiring. Okay, decided to retire from the firm, and retiring partners decided to carry on the business, and remaining partners decided to continue the business. Q and R are continuing the business. It's okay. It was agreed to revalue the assets and liabilities on the date as on the following basis. So they're revaluing the asset. Why are they revaluing the asset? Maybe because assets are recorded at historical costs, and right now there might have been some profits that has been made by way of appreciation on these assets. And now what is happening is, if this P retires and the assets are not revalued, then P will miss out on the profits which is not accounted, or profits which is not accounted because of historical cost concept. You guys get it? Or in other terms, maybe because, like, if I were to substantiate my previous statement, land and building, when it was bought long ago, it was 30,000. Right now the present market value might be 1 lakh. So when the present market value is 1 lakh and the land and building was recorded at 30,000, what happens? There is 70,000 profit. Out of that 70,000, the profit belongs to P, Q and R, all three of them. If P retires now and the land and building is not sold on retirement, then what happens? One fine day when it is sold, that profit will be shared between Q and R and not P. So you would have to revalue the assets today, recognize the profit which is not realized, recognize the unrealized profit, and then give a share of it to the retiring partner. You guys get it? In other terms, why exactly do we revalue the assets on retirement, admission, or death? Is this. Now, what will happen in the case of retirement is P is going out of the firm. When P is going out of the firm, P is selling his share to Q and R. P is selling his share to Q and R. When he's selling his share, is basically selling his right on the assets, is right on the liabilities. So when you're selling something, you need to know the value of it. Now assume I'm selling this pen to you. When I'm selling this pen to you, you would ask me how much. So I'd have to determine the value of this and then only sell it. Similarly, when P is selling his share in the assets and his share in the liabilities, you need to revalue the assets and liabilities and then only you will be able to sell it. You guys get it? So revaluation account behaves like a nominal account. All the incomes on the credit, all the expenses on the debit. Meaning, if you're revaluing the asset upwards, the asset account should be debited, revaluation account will be created. So if land and building is upward value, I'll write land and building to revaluation. So in revaluation, I'll write by land and building. So it will appear on the credit. So credits will be incomes, debits will be expenses. Net of it difference will become profit or loss on revaluation, which will be shared to partners. Done? And with regard to partners, there will be ratios. Now this 2 is to 3 is to T, 2, whatever is there, is old profit sharing ratio. Whereas once R retires, once P retires, isn't it? Once P retires, what happens? Q and R should continue the business. So Q and R will continue the business in a different profit sharing ratio. Then P's share is being gained by Q and R. Q and R will get more profits. They will gain. So we have to determine the gain ratio. The ratio in which they will gain is the ratio in which they are buying P share. That is the ratio in which they need to compensate for P. You get that? Yes, the same is the treatment of goodwill as well. Let us see the question. Whatever is in the question, we're going to do the same thing. Yeah? Okay. And land and building appreciated by 20%, plant and machinery depreciated by 30%. So we need to do all this. I'll start with revaluation. So let's see the end of the question. What do they want? Prepare revaluation account, capital account, cash account, and balance sheet. So they're asking revaluation, capital account, and cash account and balance sheet. We'll prepare all four. And along with this, we might have to prepare a couple of working notes. Working note, the first one would be computation of ratios, and the other working note that we might be forced to do will be computation of goodwill and treatment of goodwill. I repeat, the working notes that they have not mentioned but which we would be preparing is first one would be ratios. Would have to be computing old profit sharing ratio is available. So we have to compute the gain ratio, or if there is sacrifice in the case of admission sacrifice ratio, and then we would also need to find the new profit sharing ratio. Further, we would have to compute goodwill, treatment of goodwill, and accounting for goodwill. So that's the working notes that is inevitable and needs to be done as a part and parcel of the answer. So let's get started. So they've asked us to start with what? Revaluation. So I'll put columns for revaluation, capital account, and balance sheet, and then get started. Okay, have a look. So this is all with respect to question number 14. Yes, come on, let's start with question number 14. So we're preparing revaluation account. That's our particulars column. Then we have amount column, particulars column. Actually, two columns are sufficient, guys. No, leave. I'll write an inner column so that I can show you some workings. Okay, so that's how our revaluation account will look. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to go on ahead and then prepare partners capital account also. So we'd have to prepare partners capital account followed by cash account and balance sheet. Particulars, and the partners are P, Q, and R. I would have to prepare separate column for P. That's P. Then we would have to prepare one for Q and one for R, and this would have to repeat in our which side? The other side. So this is one side, the debit side. So I'll copy paste the same to the side, that will become our credit side. Okay, this is credit. So we have the format ready for partners capital account. Partners capital account is ready. Then the next they've asked us to do cash account and balance sheet. So I'll prepare cash account as well as balance sheet. Cash account, the beauty is the format I can copy paste. So with balance sheet also that we have. So this would become our cash account. And I would have to prepare balance sheet as well, isn't it? So I'll prepare balance sheet below cash account. Okay, so the debit and credit wouldn't come as this is balance sheet. So I would write here balance sheet after retirement of P. And it would not be particulars and amount anymore. It would be liabilities. Amount over here, and over here it will be assets and amount. Okay guys, let's get started. I think we have the entire format ready. Let's see each of the things and then go on posting it. And we would have to do working notes also, which we'll do simultaneously. Land and building be appreciated by 20%. So the actual value is 30,000 and we're going to appreciate it further by 20%. So what will be the journal entry? Land and building value is increasing, appreciate. Land and building is an asset increasing, debit. So the journal entry will be land and building account debit to revaluation. So in revaluation I would have to write buy land and building. I repeat, the journal entry is land and building account debit to revaluation. So in revaluation I'll write buy land and building. Okay, by land and building. Now tell me, what would be the amount? They've told 30,000 is the existing value and they've appreciated it by 20%. So I would write here it is 30,000 multiplied by 20%. Yeah, so what would be the amount? Amount would be 20%. So that's 6,000. I hope you guys get it. Yeah, 6,000 is the amount of appreciation. Then the next thing that we shouldn't forget is, see, I would write the amount of the assets in the balance sheet also. So what is the value of the assets? Land and building. Land and building value was 30,000. So I would write here 30,000. That was there. Now there is addition, revaluation. Addition, isn't it? There is increase in the value. Appreciation. How much is the appreciation? Appreciation is basically here. 6,000. Yeah. Now tell me what would be the value of the asset in that case? 36,000 will be the value of that case. Lot of them, a lot of you people, you might have read it in your PUDs or in your 11th and 12th that first will prepare revaluation, close it, then partners capital account, close it, then cash or bank, close it, and then balance sheet. That's not how you should be doing. Should always follow double entry when you do. So when you see land and building will appear at two places. It will go to balance sheet also, and there is appreciation, it will come here also. So you have to do that simultaneously. If not, it will become little difficult. You guys get it? So next, plant and machinery depreciated by 30%. So let us do plant and machinery depreciation by 30%. That's the second asset. Yeah. Right now, plant and machinery 20,000 would be appearing in the balance sheet. Do you agree with me? Okay, what is the value of plant and machinery? 20,000. So 20,000, it is there in the balance sheet. Now what are you doing? You are depreciating it by 20%. When you're depreciating, the value of the plant and machinery will decrease less. Am I right? I can write revaluation. If you want, you can write appreciation to land and building and depreciation to plant and machinery. But everything is happening in the way of revaluation. Okay, now when plant and machinery value is going down, what would we be doing? We would have to credit it because it is decreasing asset. Debit will be given to revaluation. So the journal entry is revaluation account debit to plant and machinery. I'll repeat, the journal entry is revaluation account debit to plant and machinery. So in revaluation account, I'll write to plant and machinery. Okay, what is the value? It is 20,000 into 30%. Okay, let's do that. 20,000 into 30%. Am I right? It basically goes as 20,000 into 30%. Yeah, let's do it, guys. 20,000 multiplied by 30%, that comes to 6,000 rupees again. It's the same thing. The appreciation there, the depreciation here is same. Okay, come on. So let's post it here. So how much is the less amount here? I can type 6,000, but I do it this way. I like this way. Okay, guys. So 6,000. So if I underline this, now let's go ahead. So this is less, guys. This is less. So I will write it as is equal to minus of that amount. Yeah. Now if I copy paste this, the formula. Basically, I would be doing 20,000 minus 6,000. 14,000 is the value of the asset after revaluation. Let's go to next asset. Next, what we have is stock of goods. Stock of goods, if there is no adjustment, I'll post it as 12,000. Let's see what's happening. Stock of goods to be valued at 10,000. Okay, concentrate. Okay, what is stock of goods value? 12,000. Am I right? But they're telling it to be recorded at 10,000. They're telling it is to be valued at 10,000. So what is happening? The value of the stock of goods is reducing here. So can I write this? Yeah, there is revaluation. How much? The correct value is 12,000. But instead of 12,000, what I am doing is writing it as 10,000. So it is technically a decrease of 2,000 in here. It is technically a decrease of 2,000. How? It is 12, but I am making it 10. So there is 2,000 less. Do you guys get that now? Okay, this 2,000, when it is less, the stock of goods value is reducing. Stock of goods is an asset. When it is reducing, I would have to credit it, and the debit will be given to revaluation. So the journal entry is revaluation account debit to stock of goods. I repeat, the journal entry is revaluation account debit to stock of goods. So what I would do is, I would write the journal entry in my revaluation account as revaluation account debit to stock of goods. Yes, how do I get this? 12,000 minus 10,000. How much would be the amount? It would be 2,000 rupees. Yes, I hope you guys get it and there's no trouble in this part. Yes, guys. Okay, let's go to the next one. So next we have sundry debtors here. I would post that. Is there any adjustment there? Yes, there is. What I would do is I would keep it in the inner column and let's see what will happen after that. I would finish off the balance sheet. Okay, debtors. Fine. So sundry debtors is 11,000. I'll just keep it in the inner column. There are adjustments against that, so that I can take this part. And cash and bank also. Cash and bank I wouldn't write it here. Cash and bank I wouldn't be writing it in the balance sheet because that's the opening balance. So what I would do with cash and bank is we are opening a separate ledger, no cash and bank account. So here I would write it as two balance brought down. Yep. And at a later stage, after I finish this cash and bank account, the closing balance, whatever exists in here, that I would post it to balance sheet. So, with to ensure that just we don't forget, I will write here cash and bank account also. I will just make it. Hmm? Okay, guys. So this part is also done that way. So liability side, what do we have? We have capitals PQ and R 20, 30, 20. So we open separate capital account, don't we? So I'll post it the credit there. So I'll go to my capital account and write by balance brought down. So this is my capital account here, and opening balance would appear on the credit side because it's a liability. By balance brought down, how much is the balance of capitals? 20,000, 30,000, 20,000. 20,000, 30,000, 20,000. And we'd have to find two balance brought down, two balance carried down here at a later stage. At a later stage, I would do this. Yeah. Once I determine this two balance carried on, that will go to my balance sheet eventually. So in the balance sheet, I would keep space for capitals. Capitals. Okay, guys. So we'd have to determine P, but P's capital won't come. Why? P is no more a partner. P will retire, isn't it? So the balance sheet is after retirement of P. It will only be Q and R. Okay. So then if I post that also, sundry creditors is there 10,000. So I'll write sundry creditors here. How much is sundry creditors? 10,000. Okay, guys. So we're done with the entire balance sheet and adjustments also. The first three adjustments are done. So I'm going to the fourth adjustment. The fourth adjustment goes like old credit balance of sundry creditors 2,000 to be returned back. So when I'm saying this, there is old credit balance of 2,000 which was actually not there. Now I'm writing it back, meaning I'm increasing my sundry creditors by 2,000. So if you can observe sundry creditors 10,000, I would basically write it in the inner column in that case. You guys get it? So I will write add write back. How much is being written back? Written back is 2,000. Okay. If you basically see, the answer would become, the creditors would become in that case 12,000. The creditors in that case will become 12,000. Now there is increase in creditors. Whenever there is increase in creditors is a liability increasing, we would have to credit it. The debit should be given to revaluation. So the journal entry is revaluation account debit to sundry creditors. I repeat, the journal entry is revaluation account debit to sundry creditors. Here also we can write back, we can write revaluation. Yeah, revaluation account debit to sundry creditors. So I would write in revaluation to sundry creditors 2,000. Revaluation to sundry creditors. Yes, sundry creditors. How much is it? It is 2,000. So the amounts are repeating. 2,000. Okay, guys. So we're done with that. We'll go to the fifth adjustment. Provision for bad debt should be provided at 5%. So provision for bad debts. Bad debts means those debtors who don't pay money. Good debtors means people who pay money. Now what is provision for bad debts? Now the person who's supposed to pay you money, if he says that he doesn't pay, is a bad debtor. Now the case is where he has not told you that he will not pay. You are assuming that he will not pay. I repeat, there is a person who's supposed to pay you money. If he says that he'll pay, is a good debtor. If he says that he doesn't pay, is a bad debtor. What do you mean by provision? Provision is a case where you are assuming that that guy will not pay. When you assume that your debtor doesn't pay, you create provision to be very prudent. You get that? So that is provision for bad debt. So basically, you decrease your debtors to that extent. So when you decrease your debtors to that extent, debtors are decreasing credit, and it is what it is a revaluation. So you basically write revaluation to debtors. Actually, you wouldn't write it revaluation to debtors. It is not decreasing debtors, but creation of a new liability. Yeah, the usual journal entry is revaluation account debit to provision for doubtful debts. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. How much is it? 5% of debtors. Okay, let us do this. So we'll first go to balance sheet. So in the balance sheet, debtors are written in the inner column. I'll write here less. Okay, provision at what rate? Provision. Okay, provision. Let that be this way. Now how much is provision? 11,000 multiplied by 5%. How much would that come to, guys? 11,000 into 5%. Yeah, that comes to 550 rupees. Now 550 rupees is to be deducted. When I deduct that, it becomes 11,000 minus 550. That becomes 10,450. So provision is basically decreasing the asset. So what will be the journal entry? Journal entry would basically be revaluation account debit to provision for doubtful debts. So in revaluation account, I'll write to provision for doubtful debts 550. To provision for doubtful debts, how much is it? 550. Yes, how did we arrive at 550? If you want, I can type it here. 11 5%. Okay, guys, that's just for the sake that you wouldn't get it wrong or you wouldn't find it like where did this amount come from. Yeah. Next one, joint life policy of the partners surrendered and the cash obtained is 750. Very interesting one actually. Yeah, joint life policy is something that people will find it very tricky. Yeah, a lot of them have been asking me how to treat a joint life policy and how to handle it in the exam. So I would do a separate video on joint life policy, complete treatment, all the cases. But for now, what I'll do is I'll just explain this concept of joint life policy for this question. So what is joint life policy? Now, usually what might happen is, in the case of retirement of a partner, the firm has to pay back the capital, the goodwill, the share of reserves and revaluation profit to the retiring partner. Same happens in the case of death also. But when the firm has to repay, the firms might run out of cash. And it might run out of cash in such a way that the firm might not have any cash to continue the business all by itself. So this would lead to dissolution of the firm. This would lead to dissolution of the firm. I repeat, when any partner retires or dies, you would have to eventually give him his share of profit, share of capital, share of reserves, share of revaluation profit and everything. In order to pay that cash, the company or the firm might run into what to say cash crunch, or firm might be enforced to go into dissolution. That should not be how it should be happening, isn't it? So the death of a partner is uncertainty. So the firms would take a policy jointly on all the lives of all the partners. So this is the not LIC policy that is taken by the wife of the partner. No, no, no. This is the what to say the policy taken by the partnership firm. The premium will be paid by the partnership firm. And PQR are there on the lives of P, Q, and R. The partnership firm will take the policy. The partnership firm will pay the premium. In the case of death of P or Q or R, the policy matures and the money would be received by whom? By the firm. I repeat, in the case of death of any of the partner, the policy matures and the money will be received by whom? The firm. And that profit does not belong to only one partner or the partner who died. That premium money what is received will be belonging to all the partners. It will belong to all the partners. But the cash form of it will be used to repay the capital of the partner. I repeat, now if one of the partner dies and the GLP money is received, that money belongs to all the partners. That profit will be shared to all the partners. But that cash will be used to repay the capital of the retiring partner or the deceased partner. You guys get this? Now, the policy matures on the death. If any of the partner retires, the policy needs to be surrendered. You guys get that? That's it for now. Don't break your head on JLP. I will do a separate video and I'll also drop a link in the description later when I finish the video on that. You guys get it? Yes. Now, with regard to JLP, just tell me in the balance sheet, is there JLP somewhere? No. So it is like an unrecorded asset. So there is no asset in the balance sheet, but it still realized 7,550. They've told that JLP of the partners surrendered, JLP of the partners was surrendered and cash obtained 750, 7,550. 7,550 rupees cash is received. When 7,550 rupees cash is received, cash account should be debited. Cash account should be debited. What will we give the credit to? The credit should be given to all the partners in the profit sharing ratio. But that's a little tricky. What I do is I'll write cash account debit to revaluation account. So it will become revaluation profit. It will get included in the revaluation profit and ultimately that will be shared to all the partners. So this profit is arising on retirement. You need to route all the profits or losses on retirement through what? Revaluation account. You guys get that? So what exactly is the journal entry for JLP here? Cash account debit to revaluation account. Cash account debit to revaluation account. How much? 7,550. So in revaluation account I'll write what? By cash. Yeah. Okay. What exactly is this? This is with regard to JLP. Okay. JLP surrender. How much is the money received? 7,550. Okay. Get that, guys. Now, what will I do in my cash account? In the cash account, I would write to JLP. Sorry. I would write to revaluation. Yeah, I can write here. Yeah, that's with regard to JLP surrender. So what exactly is the amount? 7,550. Okay, guys. Let's go to the next adjustment. Next adjustment is the seventh one. Goodwill of the entire firm is valued at 14,000 and P share of goodwill is adjusted in the accounts of Q and R who would share the future profits equally. No goodwill account is to be raised. So goodwill should be adjusted by making, I would say, contribution by the partners. So I understood this. I would read this once again and I would show it to you in the mathematical form. Yeah, here it is very English. Okay, don't worry about English. It's very easy. Yeah, goodwill of the entire firm is valued at 14,000. So what is the value of the goodwill? 14,000. You need to be thankful to ICI. They didn't basically give you profits, number of years purchase, and then ask you to compute goodwill. They straight away given the goodwill as 14,000. Okay. Now what is happening? P share of goodwill is to be adjusted by accounts of Q and R. Now P is a partner who is retiring. This retiring partner has a share in this goodwill of 14,000. Now if the firm has earned a goodwill of 14,000, that is because of the efforts of P, Q and R. Now if P retires, P is not there in the business anymore. The business is continued by Q and R. Q and R would enjoy this goodwill in the future. But this goodwill is hard earned sweat of P also. So P's goodwill, P's share of goodwill is also being taken benefit by Q and R after P's retirement. So Q and R should buy that share of goodwill from P. I repeat, Q and R are going to enjoy the future goodwill where the contribution from P is also there. So Q and R should buy that goodwill from P. So P should get his share of goodwill in cash when he's going out. But we're not literally paying him that way. Q and R will pay it from their capital. So I will not write buy goodwill to goodwill anywhere. I'm going to route the entire thing to Q and R's capital. So Q and R should contribute, P will receive. You get that? So this has to happen through capital accounts. I'll show it to you how does it work. Okay. So 14,000 is the goodwill. Before that, we need to compute ratios. Now what I'll do is I'll do two calculations. My working note number one will be ratios calculation. My working note number two will be goodwill computation. Yeah. So they've told that future profits are to be shared equally. Yeah, Q and R after retirement of P are sharing profits in the ratio 1:1. Whereas pre-retirement the ratio was how much? 2:3:2. Come on, let's do the working note. Okay, guys, working note first one. I'm going to do it on profit sharing ratio. Okay, profit sharing ratio. Let's get started. Okay, old profit sharing ratio. Yeah, how much is it? P Q R. Okay, 2:3:2, isn't it? So 2 by, can I write it as 2:3 stress? 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7. So can I write it as 2 by 7? Okay, 2 by 7. How about Q? 7. And how about R? Yeah, so 2:3:7. Next, we're going for new profit sharing ratio now. It's not ratio, it's ratio. Okay, P retires, P retires. So P's ratio wouldn't be there. How about Q and R? It is going to be 1 by 2 and 1 by 2. You guys get it? So the Q and R's profit is going to be, in the future it's going to be equal. It's this way. Now we are going to find gain ratio. Okay, what exactly is gain ratio? Gain ratio will be usually computed like this. Gain is equal to, see, previously I had 2, now I have 3. I've got more, I've gained. So it's like, okay, before the entire lockdown happened, my weight was 60 kgs, now it's 65 kgs. I've gained 5 kgs. So that's the increase. Gain is more what you have now, but what you didn't have. So that is new profit sharing ratio minus old. So gain is new minus old. You guys get that? So P is not gaining. P is the person who's losing. Now tell me how much is Q gaining? Q's gain is 1 1 divided by 2 minus 3 divided by 7. You guys get that? How about R? For R it is again same but little change. It is 2 by 7. Yeah, 1 by 2 minus 2 by 7. So solving these fractions might be little tricky, but I'll tell you how to do it. So what I'm going to do is, so this will be my denominator. In the denominator I'm going to do 7 into 2. See, in the first one we have 2 in the denominator. The second fraction we have 7 in the denominator. So I'm going to do 2 into 7. So 2 into 7. So that will be my denominator. And in the numerator 1 is there. So I would basically be doing, okay fine, if you want I can show it to you guys. I can remove that equals. Okay, the denominator will be doing 2 into 7 and in the numerator I will be doing 1 multiplied by the common denominator, what is it, the denominator of the next fraction, that is 7, and this would be the first part, and to this I would subtract, what will be the subtraction, 3 whatever is there in the second numerator, second fraction's numerator, multiplied by the denominator of the first fraction, that is 2. Those of you who already know how to deal with fractions, very good. Those of you who don't, this is a very good opportunity for you to learn. So what did I do? The first fraction's numerator multiplied by the second fraction's denominator and minus the second fraction's numerator multiplied by the first fraction's denominator, and in the denominator, both the denominators I'm going to multiply. So denominators multiply, numerators, same numerators will be there, but you need to multiply it with the opposite fractions or the next fraction's denominator. So that's how it works, and I'm going to do the same thing over here also, but here it will be 1 by 2, that will remain the same. So 1 by 7 and 2 multiplied by 2. So it will be 2 multiplied by 2. You guys get that? So that's how it's going to be. Now let us find it. Okay. 1 into 7 is 7, minus 3 into 2 is 6. Okay. 7 minus 6. And in the denominator we'll have 14. 7 2s are 14. Am I right? Okay. How about this side? 1 into 7, it will be again 7, minus 2 into 2, it will be 4. So I have to close the bracket. This would be my numerator. Denominator 7 into 2, 14. Okay. So what would be my gain ratio? 7 minus 6 is 1 by 14, and 14. That's one side. And over here 7 minus 4 would be 3. 14. It's again taking it. Yeah, 3 by 14. So what is this, guys? This is the gain ratio. So this is the ratio in which Q and R are gaining because of P's retirement. This is the ratio in which Q and R are gaining because of P's retirement. And this is the ratio in which they need to pay the goodwill of P. This is the ratio in which they need to pay the goodwill of P. I'll tell you. You guys can take a small screenshot of this if you want. No, don't ask me how to take a small screenshot. Small screenshot in the sense you take it and then the file is small. Yeah? Okay, come on. Let us go to the second one now. Second working note is with respect to goodwill. Okay, guys. Now, goodwill of the firm is contributed as how much? They have told, isn't it? The goodwill of the firm is 14,000 rupees. Okay. See, there's P. Okay. Total 14,000. Okay, there's going to be P is going to be, okay, P is retiring. Alright, let's just see the simple part. Okay, P is share. Because P is retiring, we should have to pay P share of goodwill. Yeah. How much is P's share? P's share is basically 2 is to 3 is to 2. No? In the 2 by 7 is his share. P's share 2 by 7. So shall I write it as 14,000 2 by 7. Am I right? So how much would it be? It would basically be equals to, yes, that comes to 4,000. Yep. Okay guys, did you get that? It comes to how much? Yeah, 4,000 rupees. 4,000 is P share. Now this much is to be paid to P. When this much is to be paid to P, P's account should be created. Now this has to be contributed by whom? To be contributed by Q and R in gain ratio. You guys get it? So P has to get 4,000, which has to be paid by Q and R in the gain ratio. So let us see what is the gain ratio between Q and R. We just found it, 1 is to 3. Yes, isn't it? So Q, how much should Q contribute? Q should contribute 4,000 multiplied by 1 divided by 4. Yes, how about R? R also should contribute, but it should contribute 3 by 4 because it's gaining more. Yes, is equal to 4,000 multiplied by 1 divided by 4,000, and 4 is equal to 4,000 multiplied by 3 divided by 4. Yes, that comes to 3,000. So it needs to be contributed by these two in this ratio. Yeah, Q and R are giving. Q and R are giving. Giving. This guy is receiving. You guys get it? So when he is receiving, his account should be credited. Why his capital would increase? And here it should be debited. Why their capitals are decreasing? You guys get that? So now I'll tell you what exactly is the journal entry. Concentrate. The journal entry for this would be Q capital account debit, R's capital account debit to who's gaining, who's receiving, P's capital account. Yeah. So what would be the amounts? In Q's capital account, you would have to write 1,000. In here, you would have to write 3,000, and over here it will be 4,000. So this is the treatment of goodwill, guys. I just want you to take a quick screenshot of this, and I would show you the treatment of this. I would show you the posting of this journal entry in those books. Yes, I hope you have. Come on. So this is the only journal entry that you should post with regard to goodwill. Q's capital account debit, R's capital account debit, 2P's capital. So in the capital accounts, capital accounts are up here, isn't it? So P's capital should increase. P's capital should increase. So I would write here by Q capital account, R's capital account. How much is Q contributing? Q is contributing 1,000 and R is contributing 3,000. When they are contributing, their capitals would decrease. So on the debit, I would be writing it as 2 P's capital account. In the P's column, nothing would come and the amounts would come in here. Here it is 1,000, here it is 3,000. And this entire thing, whatever is here, is goodwill. I would write it in blue. Okay, no, blue is not very evidently visible. So can I keep it green? Okay, this green is visible. So whatever is there in this green is goodwill. So whatever is there in this green is basically goodwill adjustment. Yeah, guys. So we successfully completed the goodwill posting. Yeah, see, here I have written 2P. So it's Q's capital account debit 2P, R's capital account debit 2P. Here it is QR debit 2P. Yeah, same thing. Double entry. Both the entries would appear in partner's capital account. Yes, come on, let's finish this question. So we're done with this adjustment also. So the goodwill adjustment is over. The total capital of the firm to be same as before retirement. Individual capitals in their profit sharing ratio. So how much over was the total capital? The capital should remain same. Before retirement, the total capital was 20 plus 30 plus 20. 20 plus 30 is 50. 50 plus 20 is 70. After retirement of P also it should be 70,000. But it should be between Q and R, not P anymore. Q and R in what ratio? Profit sharing ratio. The new profit sharing ratio is 1:1, equal. So that 70,000 should be shared between Q and R in 35-35 ratio. I'll repeat. They've told that the total capital of the firm is to be same as before retirement. Before retirement it was 70. After retirement also it should be 70. Before retirement it was P, Q and R. After retirement it should be only Q and R. In what ratio? 1:1 ratio. That is 35,000, 35,000. Okay, guys, come on, let's write that here. So total here is 70,000. 20 plus 30 plus 20, 70. Here also it should be 70. But there would be nothing from P. So it should be 35,000, 35,000. Sir, what if there is some shortage? If there is some shortage, Q and R should contribute. They should bring additional cash. Sir, what if there is excess? Then Q and R will withdraw it in cash. Yeah. If you want, I can do that working note number 3. Capital. Okay. Okay. Capital. Capital before retirement was how much? 70,000. Okay. Then capital after retirement should be how much? Same, isn't it? Yeah. Capital after retirement also should be equal to 70,000. And this 70,000 should be shared between whom? It should be shared between Q and R. How much should be Q share? Q share should be 70,000 into 1 by 2. So about this guy also it will be same. You guys get that? You might be wondering, or you might wonder at a later stage as to how did this arrive. So I'll write here 70,000 multiplied by 1 divided by 2. Okay, that's for your understanding. So that at a later stage you should not be wondering how did we get that. Yes, guys, so this is the capital adjustment. If you want, you can copy, or you can take a quick screenshot of this. Yes, working note number 3, 35,000, 35,000 will be the capitals. So I've posted it in the balance carried on column also. Okay, guys, so come on. We're done with this adjustment as well. Let's go to the next one. Amount due to Mr. P is to be settled on the following basis: 50% on retirement, 50% within 1 year. So whatever is the balancing figure that we'll find here, whatever is the balancing figure that will 50% on retirement, 50% within 1 year. So whatever is the balancing figure that we'll find here in R's column, 50% of it should be paid by cash. So I'll write here to cash account. How much? 50% of whatever is the amount. I will tell you how much is the amount. And then balance should be transferred to which account? It should be transferred to his loan account. So I'll write to P's loan account. Would have to pay him later, isn't it? So that would be the balance 50%. Or I'll write 50% of a year. Yeah, what is that 50% of? I'll find it. I'll tell you. Yeah, so we'll do that. Give me a little more time, and that's it. There's nothing more left in the question. So come on, we can't straight away close partners capital account right now to find the 50% because in this partners capital account the revaluation profit or loss is not yet recorded. So I would have to go back, close my revaluation account first, determine revaluation profit or loss, and then post it there, and then find the balancing figure in P's column. 50% of it will be cash, 50% of it will be loan. Whatever I rate as cash there will get posted to cash account. Whatever I rate as loan will go to balance sheet. And then I'll close my cash account. Balance carried on will be written to balance sheet. And that's when my balance sheet should tally. Perfect. Come on, let's close our which account? Revaluation account. So we just found the totals. The totals goes like the credit side is more and the debit side is less. That basically means what? Yeah, then there is profit. How do I find it? I'll write it as is equal to this minus sum in here. Okay, how much do I get? 3000 rupees. This 3000 rupees is a profit and it should be shared between whom? It should be shared between partners. Yes, partners capital. Who are the partners? Is it only Q and R? No, it is P, Q and R. All three will get. P, Q and R. All three will get. So what is the ratio in which they'll get? 2 is to 3 is to 2. Oh, I'll write here only. 2 by 7. 3 by 7. 2 by 7. 2 is to 3 is to 2. Okay. Tell me how much is 3 this guy's share? 3000 multiplied by 2 divided by 7 over here, and same would appear here also. Okay, fine, I'll type it again. This multiplied by how much? 3 by 7, and now about here this again same thing multiplied by 2 by 7. Control U. Yeah, so that's how 3000 would be arrived at. This is balancing figure. Don't forget that fact, guys. Okay. Now, when I've written by two partners capital account in revaluation account, here I'd have to write by revaluation account. Concentrate. By yeah, here I'll write revaluation profit. This is for your understanding. Yeah. What are the amounts? This guy P would be getting how much? 857.14. How about Q? Q would be getting 1285.7. How about R? R also would be getting 857.14. Okay. So revaluation account is closed. Partners capital account, it has everything in it. So come on, let's close this partners capital account. I'll find totals now. Okay, guys, I have found the totals now. So let us find the balance figures now. So obviously the totals on the credit side are more, the totals on the debit side are less. Okay, it depends upon problem to problem. So here 24,857.14 is payable to P. So what will I do? 50% of it will be paid now is equal to 50%. 50% multiplied by which amount? This amount. Yes, 50% is to be paid by cash. What about the balance amount? The balance 50% would be transferred to his loan account. The balance 50% would be transferred to his loan account. Out of 24,857.14, what belongs to P? No amount will be carried down. Yeah, 12,428.57 would be paid in cash, and again the same amount would be amount equivalent to that will again be transferred to your which account? It will be transferred to your loan account. Here also same thing. I just put that comma thing and then make it yes. Okay, it looks fair now. Yes, guys, this is balance and figure. Okay, what about these guys? Now, the so much of capital has to be there. 35 capital has to be there. So 35,000 if he has to contribute, if it has to be there, and 1,000 if they have to give. So total is 36,000 here. Here 31,286. So the balance whatever is there, he has to bring it in. So any balance in figure is cash here. By cash or to cash. If it is by cash, that means that they bring in cash. If it is to cash, it means that they are taking home cash. Is equal to 36,000 minus sum that's there. I'm trying to find the balance in figure, guys, in the Q column. 4,740. How about here? Here again, the credit total is, the debit total is more. So even he would have to bring cash. How much cash should he bring in? He should bring in cash to the extent of 17,143. This again is balance in figure. Yes, I hope you guys got this. Yeah. Now I've written by cash here to this extent 4,714 and 17,143. So in the cash account I would have to write 2Q and 2R. Come on, let us write this. Same with cash account here also. So let's write 2Q and R. 2 Q's capital account, 2 R's capital account, because they both are bringing in cash. R's capital. And further, P is taking home cash. So I would write by P's capital account. When P takes cash, it's a payment. The cash balance would reduce. How much is P taking home as cash? P is taking home 50% of his claim money. That is 12,429. Am I right? Then how about Q? Q is bringing in cash to the extent of 4,740. Yes. How about R? R, he is basically bringing in cash to the extent of 17,143 because that is the shortage in his capital account. Yes. So by this I'm done with the posting also. But I have not posted this Peace loan. Peace loan is the money that we should pay to P. So it's a liability. 12,429 has to be written as loan here. Balance sheet. I'll write here. 12,429. Okay, guys. So by this, what I'm done with my partner's capital account. I'm done with my cash account except for totaling it. Yeah. Come on, let's total that now. I'll write here is equal to sum. Let's find the totals. Put the balance in figure. Post it to balance sheet and then total our balance sheet. And then we're done. Okay. So 12,429 on the credit, 36,407 on the debit. So basically there is balance carried on is equal to 36,407 minus 12,429. Ouch. Oh, okay, got it. I understood what was the problem. 12,429. That gives us 23,978. What is this? This is by balance carried on. Yes. So this much is the cash balance that is there. This cash balance should be posted to a balance sheet 23,978.57. 23,979. Come on, let us post it to our balance sheet, which is below. Cash. Have I written it already? Yes. I'll just select it. 23,579. 23,979. Once I've done that, my cash account is also done. Only thing that's left now is balance sheet. I would have to just check the totals, pray to God, and then just check the totals if your balance sheet will tally. Okay, we have missed out on posting the totals capitals. What is the closing capital? 35,000, 35,000. They have to contribute, no? 35,000, 35,000. That is the balance carried on in our capital account. Yes, 70,000 comes there, 94,429 here. If when I copy paste the formula here to check the total on the asset side, it should come down to be same. It is the same, 94,429. It is just that rounding of them. Yes, that's it guys. We're done with this partnership question. And the balance sheet tallies. Yeah, I would show each of it to you so that you guys can make a small note of it. Copy. Okay, copy from here or take a screenshot. 14th one, revaluation account is here. Revaluation account is here if you want to copy. Done. Next I'm showing partners capital account. This is partners capital account. I hope the screenshot is done. Next, let me show the cash account part to you people. So this is cash account. And lastly, the balance sheet after retirement of P. And make it a little small so that the entire balance sheet is visible in one shot. Yes, the entire balance sheet is there except for the total which is not completely visible. Done. Now I'll show the working notes. Working note number 1 and 2 is here. Okay, perfect. Working note number 1 and 2 is here. If you're done with this, then I'll show working note number 3. I hope you've taken the screenshot. Now working note number 3 is here. Yes guys, that's with it. So this is partnership questions. If I go back to our RTP, we're done till question number 14. What we have next is NPO followed with journal entry based questions on issue of shares and debentures with one theory question, which will be covering it up in the last part of RTP discussion. That's our next video that will come up very soon. So see you all in the next video wherein we'll discuss question number 15, 16 and 17 to finish up our entire foundation RTP for November 2020. Till then, I am hoping that this added some value addition to your examination preparation. So see you all in the next video. Till then, stay in the game. Bye bye.